From classics to curiosity, and where melodies meet meaning.
There's a balance of not being too busy for life.
Yeah.
You don't miss life in moments, but then at the same time, don't get stuck doing nothing, or else life is going to pass you by.
My friend Frank, shout out to Frank, always says if you're not making moves, you're standing still. And it was like a joke until it actually made sense.
Yeah,
how
like,
profound it was.
Profoundly obvious, but yes, it's one of those things. You don't need it to be that deep. Exactly. Actually, some of the best messages to me in time, like from sports coaches to whatever, are just simple thoughts.
Yeah. Like duh moments where you're like, duh, but it's so profound.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Huh. And then
Beautiful.
it'll be funny to see how people butcher it moving forward.
Yeah, no
That's
kidding.
a good one right there. If you're not running track, then you're not moving too fast.
Right.
That's the version that we'll end up with on Broken Telephone.
Speaking of butchering lines and butchers, let's get back to butchering and the beef. A lot of beef.
No, before we
on.
even go there, man,
Oh,
I got some mixed feelings on some things I wanted to get off my chest first.
Okay, let's go.
Because the last 2 weeks for my family have been cool, so I just want to put it out there.
Absolutely.
I had some real monumental birthday celebrations. Actually, over the last week and a half, I've had 4 birthdays, but ranging from 102 to 2 years old. So I just want to give thanks for that, because you were there.
Absolutely,
yeah. My grandma, my great aunt, I should say, grandma, 102.
She's everybody's grandma at this point, son. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and I share her not by choice with the world. She's a great lady. She's lived wonderful years. She's still dancing and singing.
Yeah.
Yesterday I celebrated. No, I'm lying. Today is my niece's birthday.
Beautiful.
I had another niece. Her sister was last week, and our youngest family member, JJ, turned 2 this week. So we have like 100-year gap between generations.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Which is pretty cool. And I said it's bittersweet because I'm giving thanks for that. But on the flip side, I lost a few, or our Toronto community of musicians lost a few soldiers this week. Strangely, within like hours of each other, unrelated. 2 drummers as well. So I just want to give a shout out to Shamaka, the drummer. He made a real impact in the city over the last 3 decades or so. Just killing it. He was doing all sorts of things. Great guy. Sadly passed away. And also another brother that you know, Nissan, the drummer, came down from Jamaica about 10 years ago or so. He filled in or had a couple short runs with Barris Hammond when he was in Jamaica. So he's a top-level reggae drummer. He'll be missed. They'll both be missed. But I just wanted to give a quick shout-out to some brothers that we lost here in the GTA recently.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, bros. And just a reminder that life is short and you got to cherish every moment, like you were saying. So
exactly.
Let's go. So
unfortunate, but these are harsh reminders that every day is a gift and not a promise. So please treat it accordingly.
That's true, man. Just give thanks.
Amen.
Give thanks. It's funny because you hit me up about something, and you started off by saying, I know this is not normally something that you're into. And usually when you say that, I feel like I'm about to be offended. Like, of course I know this stuff. I'm a politic and I'm into this stuff, man.
Right.
About that. But there's some big things happening, and you sent me down 2 rabbit holes, my friend. Fortunately, I had blocked out time for these rabbit holes, so I was not feeling guilty about it. But YouTube, you're welcome. I put in some hours this week. And before we jump into what you actually hit me up about, I want to tell you about the first rabbit hole. Actually, the second one. We'll reverse it. So we're talking about this, and I went back in time. We're talking about beef because you've mentioned it.
Both.
If you're in, I don't know, France
or Quebec. How dare you?
Yeah. Quebec overall. We're global, man. We got listeners all over.
That's true. Even
shout out
Algeria.
to the French people, them. Yeah.
French-speaking
countries.
There you go.
Yeah. Sidetrack so easy, eh? So we're talking about beef. And I was like, it's crazy because we grew up in a time where there was some serious hip-hop beef. And actually, we probably I guess that's kind of the origin of hip-hop was ciphers and beef, and it was more of a fun-loving thing, I believe. At first, it was kind of just poking fun and, just going in. But the rabbit hole I went in, because after exploring all these hip-hop beefs, and I think we'll probably have to talk about a few of the big ones, I went down this hole of was there beef in music before hip hop?
Oh, I'm glad you did, because I did that too.
I was really curious. Oh, did you? Okay, that's funny, man. So I have to shout out a few. I know you will too, probably. So
sure.
That's funny. I thought I was.
They might be the same ones, because I was pretty blown away at two of them.
Okay. You want to go one at a time, or
yeah? No, let's see. I want to hear your first one.
Okay, Okay, so my first. This is in no order of excitement.
Right.
It's just this is the way it landed on on my paper. So Tommy Lee versus Kid Rock. That was one of them.
Right. I remember that one.
But still, it's up there. Yeah. Should I keep going, or you want to jump in?
I want to hear another one. I forgot about that one, actually.
Let me blow through my list first then. All right, then there was Limp Bizkit versus Creed.
Oh, wow.
Again,
right.
Just so far removed from hip-hop that it's hilarious to think that people were doing this. Because I know that hip-hop takes a bad rap for this exact same thing. But it's all over, man. It's in. You're not going to find it. Maybe not in R&B. No, I'm lying. It's sort of in R&B, because this other one is hilarious. So we had Elton John versus Madonna.
Yeah.
He called her out for some things and then accused her of lip syncing and funny stuff there. But and then we had some other ones like in rock, Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose versus Slash.
Yeah, that was
funny
a big one.
Yeah. This next one though, I didn't know about and I never would have imagined. It was George Clinton versus seems like everybody. James Brown, Earth, Wind and Fire. He had Kool and the Gang, and he was
throwing shots at everyone.
He was throwing shots. I took a couple quotes here. He called James Brown the Godmother, James Clown. He called Earth, Wind and Fire Earth, Hot Air, and No Fire.
Oh, damn.
He called Kool and the Gang Fool and the Gang.
Oh, snap.
He called Rufus Sloofus and the Family Stone.
Sloofus?
Yeah. Sloofus.
That's a
he
great
said
one.
Sloofus. And Sly and the Family Stone, he called Slick and the Family Brick. These are in a song, 1975. So I'm telling you, I'm not going to go through them all, but that's a part of the rabbit hole you sent me down. I ended up looking at some industry beefs. There was, what was it? Pearl Jam went after Ticketmaster in the early 90s for adding service charges.
That fight continues today. That's
to this
funny.
day. So,
to this day, people are fighting Ticketmaster. And if people knew the truth about Ticketmaster, you would understand some stuff about the way the world
sounds
works.
Like we're about to beef Ticketmaster too.
I'm not beefing with them. I want no problems.
Oh, this one's funny too, and another one that continues to this day in various forms. It was Metallica versus Napster.
Yeah, that was a legendary one too. Yeah, it was kind of interesting because they actually, when they went after Napster, which was an honorable fight, to be honest with you, it was, they just feel that they should be making money off of their art. Okay, fair. But at the same time, their core fans were actually lashing out at them for even going at Napster because, they're supposed to be underground and all this, there was a lot of like backlash from their actual core fans when during the Napster Metallica beef. So that one was one that kind of almost slightly backfired. And now if you look at the landscape today, everybody's, suffering as a result of what Napster actually, meant to the industry.
Really, right? Yeah. Crazy. That's been like 25-ish years.
So long ago.
About that. Yeah.
If not, around there.
Yeah. Crazy. So, I mean, I got a couple more, but that's a good list. What do you have?
I have one that's really obscure. Okay. So John Legend of the Beatles wrote a song called Sexy Sadie, a song released in the band's 1968 album, The Beatles, which was self-titled, as a diss track aimed at Maharishi Mahesh, a yogi, a guru who they felt had been let down. Can you imagine writing a song dissing a yogi?
That's actually... No, I can't.
Oh, man.
Come in peace, man.
But the original lyrics specifically targeted him, but then George Harrison felt it was a little too much and asked for the lyrics to become a little bit more vague. So he toned that down.
Okay. So
but then Lennon continued writing diss tracks after the breakup of the Beatles with his most forceful song, How Do You Sleep, from his 1971 solo album, Imagine. Lennon had the impression that too many people from Paul McCartney's Ram in 1971 was a dig at him, something McCartney later admitted. And that other songs on the album, such as Three Legs, were similar attacks at actual John
Oh,
Legend's character. So as a result,
albums.
Lennon wrote "How Do You
Lennon, yeah.
Sleep" to indirectly mock McCartney's musicianship. And even though
Wow.
McCartney was never mentioned in the song, many make reference that he is clearly the target. And then one of the actual lyrics in the song was, "The only thing you've done was yesterday, and since you've been gone, you're just another day." And that first lyric is referring to, the Beatles song "Yesterday," 1965
Since
classic.
you've been
And
gone,
the
it's just
second
another
line is
day.
referring to McCartney's 1971 song "Another Day."
Ooh.
It's
Wow.
That's really trippy. I didn't even know that they had that kind of beef within the group, but the Beatles
energy
making
is-
diss
yeah.
songs is hilarious to me. That's
Yeah,
iconic.
yeah. Especially multiple songs.
right,
You're
yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
wow. Because when you think of, I mean, especially music from back in the day, I don't want to say pre-hip hop, but pre a certain era even, you're just thinking of like, grandma's music, mom's music, and you're just
Yeah, yeah.
thinking positivity all the way. There was some
Exactly.
social issues that came up, but I personally didn't realize that there was so many songs that were direct attacks against other people in the industries, and
kidding.
sometimes, like you said, like band members even. So this is nothing new. I guess we said
Nothing
all
new.
that
No.
to get to this point, and it's hilarious to me. And obviously, once hip hop started, like I mentioned before, it was a playful, fun-loving sort of thing.
Yeah.
Art form. And actually, I don't know if this is off topic too far because I've been reading, man. I've been reading this thing about. Do you know much about the frequencies, like the vibrations, the frequencies of music?
Not too much.
Okay,
I mean, I know
won't get deep
frequencies,
into
but
it.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
curious to what angle.
I want to throw this out there. I mean, people can do their own follow-up research on it. I'm not going to dwell on it. So this happened back in like Nazi Germany. The frequency of music was set to, I think it was actually 432 hertz.
Okay.
And that was, music is uplifting, peaceful, all that. It was an intentional move to switch it to 440, which caused, like, that minor shift caused like dissonance in the music and the messaging, and like came with it some things like almost like a mental attack, like depression and other mental issues that were associated to that frequency, which is weird to me. We got to look into this some more, and maybe we'll talk about it on a later show.
Right.
But my mind's just going through music and attacks, and that came to my mind as well, because the U.S. later adopted it, and then I guess the rest of the world as well. So the music that we're listening to is not in the same frequency range as it was prior that intentional attack on people's minds.
Interesting. And I mean, if you think about just the influence that certain music does have on people's moods and minds, it's pretty fascinating stuff.
Because if you listen, like, the meditation music, I can't, so what's it, solfeggio or something like that? They have this all these frequencies connected to different centers in you. And they're all supposed to be, I mean, I haven't been able to prove it, but they're all supposed to be at like different specific frequencies that connect with you in different ways. So interesting. Music warfare. Yeah. Deep dive. So back to number 2 of, I guess, what you had originally mentioned to me, which you thought I wouldn't know anything about, and I didn't. But now I do. I know a lot about this, and it's I guess the latest hip hop beef.
Yeah, it's been brewing for a while. It's probably over a decade in the making. They've been throwing subliminal jabs at each other for, a while, and no one really, the internet would talk about it, but they never came forward and said anything until maybe a month ago when Kendrick jumped on, what's the song called? Like That, with Future and Metro Boomin, and had some things to say about, the people that were in the quote unquote big 3, Drake and J. Cole. And it just kind of escalated from there. It took interesting turns when, J. Cole responded and then apologized. Then Drake came out with something, and then Kendrick came out with something, and then Drake came out with something again, and then Drake came out with something twice. Then Kendrick came out with something. Then Drake came out with something. And then Kendrick came out with something again. And it's been up until yesterday. There's just this new one called Meet the Grams that I just listened to about an hour before, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Oh
full
my gosh.
disclaimer, I was not aware of all this, like I said, and I probably wouldn't have taken the time to listen to it just because, for one, I wasn't interested. But the reason is because, like you mentioned, it has been 10 years I've been hearing about this stuff.
Yeah.
I probably heard stuff over those years. Nothing was specific. I mean, when we were growing up, there was really specific, sometimes fun, sometimes just hilarious,
Right.
sometimes hurtful
Yeah.
disses. And what I heard from like the last years when I did kind of tune into this to the talk was nothing direct. Like you said, you kind of had to be in the know, and the internet was talking. But
Yeah.
if you weren't sort of up on things, then they would probably just go over your head. Maybe that was
Completely
intentional.
overhead. Yeah.
But what I heard the last day blew my mind. It took a turn, man.
It really did.
It took a turn.
It's been getting nastier. Some of these like diss songs have been getting more scathing. And I'm curious to how this plays out in the long run. A lot of people, and this is going back to like, what we had talked about before, people pick sides. Even casual fans will pick sides.
Right.
And those casual fans will literally ride for their artist.
They will take this in like it's their heart. They'll take it into their own heart.
Internalize it.
We've seen this happen before.
100 times. Yeah. East
right?
Coast, West
And
Coast. Remember that?
Yes. And it got not only, scary, dangerous, way out of hand. And we saw guys in their mid-20s both lose their lives over craziness. And they both had so much attention on them and so much potential. So I guess that's kind of the thing that scares me about it is just between two men, okay, fine. I mean, they have a lot of influence, and you could argue that it'd be better used in other ways, but here we are. But you have massive fan bases who are, like you said, picking sides and taking this on as their own battle.
Right.
My prayer and my hope is that it doesn't go anywhere that we don't want to see anything like this go. What do you think?
I mean, it's dangerous. Like, they're walking a very dangerous line right now, making accusations about people's families. You're getting real personal. And I don't know how these guys are reacting to it. Is it entertainment? They're saying some really personal stuff.
Do you think it's possible? I don't even think it's possible to be entertainment anymore.
I mean, I'm entertained. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not. Right. We all love a mess. So, like, everyone's
Do you think it's put out there with that intention, though?
The intention to
with
what?
The intention to be entertainment. Because it sounds personal.
I think there's a percentage of it, maybe a smaller percentage now, where it's trying to be entertaining, or they're just trying to, drop these bombs for the world to hear. Like, in Meet the Grams, Kendrick alludes to Drake having another child, a daughter that no one's ever heard of, which is... And
he addressed his whole family on different, very, very specific, hurtful points.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. So now the dad has a right to be pissed. The mom has a right to be pissed.
The mom, the children are going to grow up like,
right. And it's even Drake said some crazy stuff on the last one. I forget what that one was called. What was Drake's last one called?
Oh man, it just slipped my mind.
But he basically is accusing him of hitting his baby mama, and that possibly one of the kids aren't his, and that's
Family Matters.
It is Family Matters. Good catch.
Family Matters. Yeah. Okay. I almost felt dumb. I was like, no, that was his show, you idiot. Don't say it too loud.
But it's like, where does this go from here? Like, how does this end? Can it end peacefully? I don't think so. I think lines have already been crossed where,
this is what scares me, the lines that have been crossed. Because like I said, up to a point, I guess, like basically within the last day, actually, right? Yeah. It was words being thrown, sort of massaged in so you could deny it later. And what I heard this morning, I had to stop listening. That's why I went the other way. I was like, oh, it's actually dark and it is terrifying. Yeah. Now, these are both guys who are really superstars, and Drake hasn't responded yet, right?
He hasn't responded to the second meet. He just dropped Family Matters, and Kendrick, as a chess move, came right back with Meet the Grams. So
57 minutes later?
Right, that's insane.
So it's like it is a chess move, so he basically dropped a track as bait to say, I know you're going to come back, and as soon as you do, I have this ready for you.
And that's
where it's all out. And it almost seems like if he's a real chess player, then he thought multiple moves ahead, and he might have had a secondary track if it wasn't as hard.
Right.
Like, I don't know. That's the way I'm picturing it. But
well, I've heard that not only did he cut short his original diss track or verse on Like That, it was much longer. They cut that short. The second one he dropped, Euphoria, apparently was 19 or 20 minutes long, and he only released 6 minutes of it. So Kendrick has clearly been, working on his assassination of Drake, or his assassination attempt at Drake, because it's not easy to come up with all of this information and come up with creative bars.
This is homework.
Exactly. Like this
research.
is research, right?
Like that one, which one was it? So Drake's uncle was the guitar player on Al Green's,
right?
I forgot the name of the song.
Yeah.
And he used that sample. Like, that's how deep they're going.
Dude, it goes even deeper when you think about, he dropped something called LA 616. And
right.
I was reading online about all of the entendres of 616.
Father's Day.
Yeah.
That's one of them I saw.
Insanity. And you're like, you guys are putting way too much thought into this stuff. Well, I guess it's the art of war, right? So it's
yeah.
And you're dealing with two formidable, opponents. These guys are both really good. Whether one of them is getting help or not is yet to be seen. We don't know, but regardless, the music he puts out.
Getting help is in
But
ghostwriters.
Exactly.
I guess that was the accusation.
It's been haunting him, even though he writes songs for other people. A lot of people have accused, and to be fair, there has been multiple reference tracks of songs that he's done by other artists. So it's not even speculative. There's actual proof in some of the ghostwriting, but at the same time, what people don't understand, I think, is that a lot of people get help writing songs. Like,
that's what I was gonna say. I don't feel like that's a foul.
Neither do I, in any way, shape, or form.
People co-write.
Right.
If someone submits a song to you and you're an artist and they're like, I wrote this song for you, I think it's dope, and you, the artist, hear it, and you're like, this is me, this is dope, why would you change it?
I would argue exactly that point, and I would argue that if you've been in a studio, there's going to be more than one person in that room with you, and they're going to collaborate with you. Like, it's not a one-man show. Someone's going to make some suggestions, whether it's inflection, it's tonality, whether it's a line, whether it's, not using a line, whether it's when to come in, all of this stuff is collaborative, right? And most people that are doing the lyrics aren't engineering. There's a collaboration. I mean, so it's weird to me, that argument, especially when we know for a fact he writes for other people. Like, this
is the industry, right?
This
is how it works.
Hip hop
is all
95%, exactly. Yeah.
So that's another thing.
95% of it is collaborative.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly fair. I would probably argue, since we're on this subject, if someone else is writing your battle rap for you, then that's different. That's a no-no.
I agree.
Just similar to, now everyone's writing their raps. Back in the day, it was a freestyle. So even writing the battle rap was like, you're soft, get out of here.
But even freestyles were
not memorized.
Freestyles, right?
Yeah. But it was still work that you put in to be able to piece things together, at least.
True.
Right? And the freestyle, like the battle rap scene, this isn't new, and it got really big because, you were into this stuff. King of the Dot.
Yeah.
And Much Music had some stuff
Smack,
where they were actually
TD.
having, I think it was like a Thursday night rap battle.
Right.
Like,
this is. I do remember that.
It's kind of been like, it has its peaks and valleys, this thing, right?
Yeah, it's been prominent in the underground scene for many, many years, and then it does bubble up into mainstream, just depending, like when Drake started sponsoring or showing up at King of the Dot events, when other artists started showing up at URL events in the States. There's been a little bit of a bubble, but the money has never been sustainable to the point where it's been able to maintain this kind of
a battle rap career.
Buzz. Yeah. Battle rappers do end up having decent careers. It's the leagues that can't really,
like the organization.
Yeah,
overall.
they don't seem to be sustainable for long periods of time. Just either you can't pay the battle rappers are arguing about the money and the splits for shows and the views on YouTube, who gets a piece of that, and the business hasn't ever been solid, and I feel like that's kind of also been at the detriment of the success of battle rap. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Well, maybe this will help to bring that back to the forefront. So yeah, let's jump back to this one though, because there's so many more. There's so many more things. Like I guess we'll have to wait to see what Drake's response is, if any. And again, like just how this will actually end up going down in history. Because circling back to just we were talking about how personal it got, and that's the point where it seems volatile. Like it doesn't seem. It seems like, well, I mean, we're talking about. Remember Cat Williams a few weeks ago? Was it 2 months ago or whatever?
Yeah.
That went like to the top of the charts. Everybody was talking about that. That felt like a very specific, intentional move. Does this have the same feeling to you, or is this something completely different?
When you say intentional, like you think that they're orchestrating this on like a WWE type front for the sake of commerce?
That's a good analogy. Yeah. Is there any possibility of that here?
Deep, deep, deep down, I want to hope that that is the possibility, that this is all just WWE. They actually don't hate each other. You know, maybe they'll tour together after this and be like, haha, we played the world as fools.
Will that kill hip-hop, do you think?
No, not to me, because the delivery was engaging. It worked. Everybody's talking about these two. You know,
no, I mean, going back, if you see them on tour next year, would that kill the next time that there's a similar hip-hop beef? Now it's like, it's just like wrestling back in the day. Like you don't take it seriously anymore.
Yeah. It would, from that standpoint, I think beef credibility would be lost.
Beef cred, it's true.
If people started doing this and then it turned out to be orchestrated, but I don't think that this is it, because some of the things that have been said have been like hurtful, just hurtful. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's one of those things I can't listen to twice, because the one I listened to this morning, I had to listen to some Purge music, because I was like, whoa.
Right.
That's painful, man.
Yeah.
That is really painful. I hope you don't listen, but it was so deep that I could picture a man crying after hearing that said about me.
Yeah. Or at least punching the air or something, or breaking something. Like there was some hurtful bars in there.
Vibe. I'm on the tears vibe, because there doesn't seem like much you could come back with other than let's squash this before somebody gets hurt, because it seems. Yikes.
Yeah, like he brought in the whole family. He brought in the whole family, dog. Like,
has that been done before like that?
Maybe. No, not on like a real personal level.
Like this is personal.
Where names are being dropped, and like, you know, people that have nothing really to do with the beef. You can attack Drake's character and all of that stuff all day. That to me is fair. But when you start talking about someone's mother, bro.
That's what I was going to say. So have we crossed a line of like, because there's always a code. There's a guy code, what's quote unquote, man code, hip hop code. Yeah. So have we crossed? Yes. Have we crossed the hip hop code 100%. Right now by
women and children, to me, or like any innocent bystander that's not directly related to the music that I'm making, and you go after them, to me, that's a sign of disrespect, and you have to be dealt with accordingly. I mean, as a man, if someone says something to you about your mother, what are you really going to do? You know what I mean? And your child,
it will try you for sure.
Most men will get pushed to the edge when you deal with
very, very sound mind to be able to block that sort of nonsense out. But usually those are the type of words that will push your buttons, and often.
And the problem is if you let one person do it, someone else might try and get super disrespectful. And
that's true too. Yeah.
To me, it was always, you got to let people know that you don't take disrespect. And I've seen what happens when people disrespect people's families on a non-music, just a normal human level.
Right.
You know,
now,
that gets widespread. Personal, and people get hurt when you talk about moms and children. You don't do it.
So I think you answered my first question that I was about to ask you. Did Kendrick Lamar go too far?
Well, that's the thing, is Drake brought up his baby mom, you know. And
okay, so if it's a foul, then they both went too far.
Yeah, I think they both had been jabbing, and then I don't know which song. I'd have to go back and really find out who went too far first. I feel like Drake maybe said the woman line, or maybe Kendrick dropped the line about his Drake's child.
Okay.
So I don't remember who came first, but
somewhere along the line.
The line has been crossed.
It was crossed. Okay. Is it too late to put these guys face to face, like the old school, and let them go at it? Or are we just past that? Is that not a thing of this time anymore?
I hope that,
like what's it called? UFC style in a ring?
A fight between those two wouldn't be fair.
Not a fight.
Oh, okay.
A fight would be interesting. I was actually just thinking of like a rap battle.
That would be funny. Battle. I think what would happen are the OGs would intervene, because they both are backed by OGs, legendary OGs, and those people understand what real beef is, and they are, they've been through real beef. So I think being someone of power that knows what happens when you engage in street war, they might not want that, because it messes up money, and that's all that it really boils down to, is money.
Yep.
I think that the powers that be might intervene and go, hey guys, like, we need a ceasefire, or maybe not. Maybe they're just like, it's all out war, Armageddon time. So we'll see how it plays out. I hope cooler heads prevail. And,
I hope so too, man.
And that, we can go back to the poking fun, the subs, but I think we're way too far for that now.
Yeah,
and I think what's interesting is J. Cole saw this, and he had felt, because he had made a diss track, and then he went on his festival. He does a Dreamville festival. He went on stage and told his whole audience how he felt bad about having to diss Kendrick, respectfully bowed out and apologized to Kendrick for the diss. And I think J. Cole probably knew where this was going and didn't want any part of it. Some people made fun of him for that. I think it was a brilliant and respected move by me personally, because it's not that important, being the quote unquote man in hip hop. It's fickle. It doesn't really mean anything. And at the end of the day, my personal peace will always be the most important thing to me. So I think J. Cole understands that too, and he chose peace for himself, not for any other reason, because J. Cole could bar both of these guys up if he really wanted to, and if he really wanted to insert himself, he's the guy that could lyrically come venomously, and really probably put these two to, like, spin around. I think he could wrap circles around both of them, but he chose peace, and I think that more people need to commend him for that, and not kick him or make fun of him for it. It just
I do love that. War is not the answer
at all.
And I guess that was really well said. I guess my final thought on this thing. I mean, the route of peace is the best. J. Cole, like you said, made some comments or whatever, made a track. And he found it within himself to say, hey, I did this. It's not too late for me to take it back and apologize.
Right.
And I think that's important more so because as we get older, I mean, if I was in my teens, I would have had a different opinion.
I agree. Yeah,
as we get older, we see the amount, especially in this generation, the amount of influence that you have on lives, not only of your peers, which is fine, there's still responsibility, but there's a younger and maybe two younger generations behind these guys now who are listening and hanging on to every word and every action, who are going to, in themselves, in their minds, try to embody this sort of behavior that they're seeing. So I think that burden of responsibility is huge, and I wish there was a way that guys like this could hold themselves more accountable to that. I love the beef idea. Hip-hop culture is something that I was born into, and we had a lot of fun with it, but we've seen what happens when it goes too far, and we've seen the results of when the music penetrates your mind to a point where you don't understand the concept of what's happening, where you really are, and some of the other options you have outside of that path of destruction. So those are my final words on that. Let me drop this mic.
Well said, brother. Yeah, drop it. It's an expensive mic to drop, but
I'm not gonna drop it.
I appreciate, and I hope cooler heads will prevail. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited to see what comes down the pipe. But it's
We'll pray for peace, but
I pray for peace. But I'm curious to see what happens next. So stay tuned for more. And if you guys have some insight on this, please hit us up and let us know. Always choose peace, like we said. Stay safe out in these streets, and